Kiki. I'm here to do the Studio Ghibli book tag that I found. The original creator is Corinne the Chaotic Good Paladin. Yes. Searched up, saw it on her channel, gave it a watch, gave a couple other videos a watch, definitely check her out. And I liked the prompts. I'm doing a Studio Ghibli theme this month on my channel, and so I'm just gonna dive right in here. Sorry about the sound. The camera I usually use to video these things, even though I know my sound hasn't been great while I've been really suffering with the kinks from the new mic I got, but the sound I think is going to be especially rough today because I'm using my phone. First prompt is Ponyo. Pick a book that has gorgeous illustrations. I don't have too many books with illustrations in them, and a lot of them are really worth mentioning, but I, in particular, am just super fond of the art style in the One Punch Man series. It started off as a webcomic done by someone who was really good at composition in terms of scenes and conveying tone, not really good at doing the people. But if you look there, just the gorgeous black and white, detailed but still somehow simple, and then the contrast between the overly simplified and the overly detailed from just like casual to fighting is, oof, I live for it. 2 is The Secret World of Arrietty. The prompt here is pick a book with a bittersweet ending that fit the story. For me, that is The Once Crowded Sky. It reminds me a little bit of The Watchmen in terms of superheroes, but kind of like a grittier twist to it. In that one, you kind of know that things are going to go weird because of how the story is set up. And the ending does a really good job of tying everything in the main story back together, but it is a little disappointing in the fact that although it's tidy, it is not happy. 3 is My Neighbors the Yamadas, and this is what is your favorite book with a slice of life feel. I've read a few of these, not as many as dark fantasy recently, but slice of life is something that appeals to me surprisingly in the science fiction genre, and so the choice I'm going with here is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I need to get more into that series and more into Becky Chambers' writing as a whole, but I am super enjoying the series so far with the single book I've read in it. It's just so sweet and wholesome, and just all the characters are lovable and flawed but not bad. Like, it's as wholesome slice of life as you can get in a pretty hard science fiction topic. 4 is Castle in the Sky. Name a book with your favorite friendship. While I have a ton of honorable mentions, I'm specifically going to go with my Lord of the Rings series. I love me some Samwise and Frodo. I love me some Gimli and Legolas. I love me some Meriadoc and Pippin. Take your pick. They're all good. 5 is Princess Mononoke. Pick your favorite dark or gritty book. I'm actually going to go with a pretty, well, not recent, I read it last year. I'm going to go with The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I had a hunch I was going to enjoy this when I picked it up, so I picked up the beautiful, special edition of it. And then, 2 years after I bought it, a year after I read it, I also picked up books 2 and 3. What I like specifically about this book is all of the characters are really approachable and really easy to connect with, but they're all terrible human beings, and the story itself is pretty dark and gritty. Definitely fits the category, and an amazing book. If you guys are looking for something that's dark, gritty, with really interesting character work, it's definitely something to pick up. 6 is Kiki's Delivery Service, and it says, pick your favorite witchy book. Mine is a super recent read. I finished it an hour before filming this, and that is We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Berry. For those of you interested, the audiobook is also really well done. It's a very interesting narrative voice. You're following a high school girls field hockey team in 1989 in Danvers, Massachusetts. They are just outside of Salem, so the perfect atmosphere for witchy shit to go down. It's perfect. But it's like girl gang meets, like, witchcraft meets finding themselves. Like, it's such an, like, it's everything you could want in a high school girl's coming of age story and her friends' coming of age stories. And it's all, like, topped with the whipped cream and cherry of, like, general witchcraft that leads to shenanigans. I couldn't get enough of it. It was very hard to put down. Number 7 is When Marnie Was There. Pick a book with your favorite plot twist. Or, pick your favorite plot twist in a book. I like a variety of plot twists in my books, but my favorite non-generalized one is a plot twist where it's about, wait, there's more, but when you get to the more part, it takes all the little details that you notice that were out of place in the beginning and ties them all together. Not but wait, there's more, and you're like, oh, there's nothing in the book that tells me that should be happening. A good example of this for me was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. It feels like it has a but wait, there's more twist, but it's done really well. 8 is Howl's Moving Castle. Pick your favorite mythical creature character. Surprisingly, for as much fantasy as I read, I don't read a lot with, like, mythical creatures that have, like, a reasonable amount of agency. Like, I could pick a few from the Shadow and the Fox series behind me here because there's a lot of like smaller kind of magical creatures involved. Tess in the Road, another example, has lots of dragons. So what I'm going to pick is a somewhat a character with, like, not a lot of agency, and that I believe his name was Ray. And he is a kind of shadow character from, he's a shadow character from The Valley and the Flood by Rebecca Mahoney. I really liked the magical realism and how they used it to deal with varying mental health issues, specifically PTSD, and getting this young girl to kind of work through her stuff. But the character Ray, even though he didn't have any lines, had a lot of personality, and really was a very good focal point for the town. I also highly recommend this book. It was gentle, it was cute. I know some people said the characters were a little flat, but I found that the story worked itself through pretty well and just was a really interesting take on a mental health issue, and I thought was done reasonably well using magical realism. 9, My Neighbor Totoro, and the prompt here is name one of your favorite childhood books that still stands up over time. For me, that would be Bridge to Terabithia. Given that I still manage to own a copy, this is what I pick up pretty regularly. The last time I picked it up, I think I actually gave the copy I had to my mom, so she would have it for when I have kids. It is Jesse and his new friend Leslie, and it's a mixture of imagination and fitting in a small town where gender roles are pretty strict and you're trying to find yourself. It is sweet, it is heartbreaking, it was hands down one of my favorite things to read as a kid. And I've reread it as an adult, and I'm mightily impressed. Next is Spirited Away. Pick a book with your favorite kind of alternate dimension feel. For me, this is a book I just recently got. It's behind me here on the shelf, and that is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Sinead McGuire. I have really been enjoying, like, about 50% of the books in the Wayward Children series. I liked the first 2 and number 4, but 3 and 5 were kind of iffy for me. And 6 I haven't picked up yet. But what I specifically liked about that story was these 2 sisters, and once they got to this portal world, they kind of fell into new roles and really embraced them. And they were just very interesting characters in a very unique world, and it was very impressive. It was hands down one of my favorites of the 3 that I really enjoyed. 11 is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Long name. pick a book with a badass female royalty character, either a princess or just general woman of female birth, or general woman of royal birth. And for me, this is Yasna from The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. She was breaking gender roles. She was a heretic, which I can only get behind. And especially in their very conservative world. And she was just so intelligent and self-possessed. I loved following her and meeting her through other characters' eyes. It was just a really interesting experience, and she was a complete badass in my opinion. And the 12th and final prompt is Whisper of the Heart. Although I like this movie, they had very adult problems. It was kind of weird. But this prompt is pick a book that kind of lights an internal fire. Something that drives your passion, either a subject you want to learn, a career you would have loved to explore, or just a location you want to visit even. And for me, I'm actually picking two here, just because they both awoke in me a desire, though I lack the skill and knowledge at this point to get involved, and that is Know My Name by Chanel Miller and The Woman They Could Not Silence by Kate Moore. These are both women who dealt with authority and being put down in their own ways. Chanel Miller is the autobiographical account of the woman who was sexually assaulted and raped by Brock Turner, and it was a very heartfelt and moving book, and it was incredibly well written. The author did an amazing job at presenting her entire perspective of the case, and it made me angry. As did A Woman They Couldn't Silence. That one focuses on Elizabeth Packard, who in the 60s and 70s was pushing for female autonomy rights in marriage, and eventually ended up getting a lot of laws being put into place that didn't allow men to commit their wives to insane asylums for no reason. So it was intended to prevent people that did not have mental health issues from going in there, because if I know anything about mental health facilities in the 1800s, they made people crazy. They weren't for the crazy. Well, I mean, there were some there, but they were not good places to be by any stretch of the imagination. And both of these just made me want to get more involved in civil rights, and there have been countless other books that I have been reading in the last year or so to really get myself more educated on the different social and political issues that are setting the stage for our future. And I want to take as positive a role in these as I can. And these two books make me want to get involved in that, and also make me wish I had gotten involved in law at some point, just because if I could help somebody not be in their position, I would like to think I could do everything in my power. And that's where I'm going to leave off here. Again, this Studio Ghibli book tag, original creator is Corinne the Chaotic Good Paladin. It's a mouthful, guys. I always remember Corinne and none of the rest of it. So thank you for tuning in. This is horribly long. I can see the time ticking down over here. It is what it is. I will hopefully trim this down to a more respectable time and see you in the next video. Peace.